Hello, hello, beautiful soul. Look who is here on the French Riviera. It's Willow McIntosh, one of the contributing authors to the Top 10 Traits of Highly Resilient People. Thank you for being here.
Hello, hello. My pleasure. Great to be here.
Well, I'm so excited. I'm excited that you're here, of course, but I'm also excited that you're sharing your story. Like, this is kind of a big coming out story about you and your transition from hiding some of your gifts and talents to now fully utilizing them to help other people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Really. Yeah, huge deal.
So, if you didn't know, Willow happens to be the leader of the High Sensory Intelligence movement, and which is a big thing because part of that movement is about reframing what some of us have previously called being a highly sensitive person, which for me, it's a very fitting term, but for me, it was also a very negative term. The first time that someone said, "Oh, you're a highly sensitive person," I was like, that's just felt like wrong. So this transition that you're helping us make is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And this part of it was such a vital shift in my life, this very reframe. And coming from this place of rejection and the stage in my life that I went through as a teenager and deciding to go off and do my thing, trying to rediscover myself, trying to understand what was missing, going on these big global missions. And then the actual recognition and awareness around the trait of sensitivity, for me, I never would have gone anywhere near that because of the word. Mm-hmm. And yet it has revealed and unleashed these incredible parts of my personality, my abilities, and the reason I'm here. And without that kind of reframe, I may never have done that. And that's what worries me so much about everyone else that's out there. People that don't ever want to be associated with the word. And yet there is this incredible underlying resource within them.
So let's talk about some of the underlying resource that you had that you sort of shut down, covered up, and hid as a child. Because like many people who have this high sensory intelligence or this sensory processing sensitivity, right? Like we pick up on things in the environment and in other people. I mean, everything from just basic senses like light and sound and vibration and tastes and smells, but also that sort of this energy that we pick up between people and even environments. For some of us, it just feels like every one of our senses is like on hyperdrive. And that can be really challenging in and of itself. But for you, what you experienced as a child also influenced other people. Like the adults in your life were kind of like, shut that down.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't say that verbally, right?
Yeah. Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. It was a huge experience as a child. It was like the sort of a field around me of feeling awareness, which I've now re-engaged with and is part of something I hold so dear in myself. But as a child, I had this ability to be able to feel what all my senses were doing. So I was able to feel what colours looked like, feel what smells were like. The experience I had on the lawn as a child where all of my senses were merging together into one kind of flowing, energetic experience. And I loved it as a kid. It was so riveting, and I would get up to all sorts of things. It was like an adventurous playground for me. But you're right, from the adults that were around me, it was a big ask to try to understand what was happening for me and how to handle that, and the role that they had to allow me to fit into society in a normal way.
Yeah.
And so I closed all that down in myself.
But when you became a teenager and you saw your friends going off to university, you were like, nope, I'm going my own way.
Yeah, absolutely. So by the time I came into my teenage years, I developed this incredible pain in my chest, which was a grieving, a sense of loss that I had shut down this part of myself when I was a kid. And when it came time for me to make that decision, my soul was just flat no. There was no way that I could be on anyone else's agenda. I had to go and try to uncover what had happened and try to make sense of this feeling that I was experiencing. And that turned out to be a 7-year trip from going to various places around the world that I'd heard of and wanted to explore, to learn meditation, to be around as many spiritual teachers that I could be. I did a great deal of soul work, and I gradually started to peel back the layers of my own reality. And I started to experience again in fact, what it was is I allowed myself to experience my own bigness in my sensory experience again. So through the stillness and the peeling away, I came back into this amazing experience of big sensory wonder and the gift that it gave me to be able to see what was missing and how I could facilitate others to do the same.
Wow. So, I mean, that just sounds like the quintessential hero's journey. Like you leave your ordinary world and you set off on this quest to find out what was missing inside of you, what was causing that deep pain. And once you found it and retrieved it for yourself, you were then willing to come back to the rest of the world. And now at this point, you're sharing it to help other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us about what you really think this high sensory intelligence movement can do for us. Like, why would anyone want to fully embrace these special skills of sensitivity?
It's a great question. I mean, essentially, for those of us with the trait, unless we do that, we are going to be in a state of self-rejection, and which is leading to all the critical thoughts that we have that comes as a result of that, and the depression that gets caused as a result, because we have, it's not by any means to say that people with the trait are better and people without the trait are worse. That's certainly not what I'm saying, but we have the ability we have particular abilities that lead to higher levels of intuition, creativity, leadership, empathy. And what that actually looks like is, because our sensory apparatus, if you like, is being the data that's coming through that is being processed that much more deeply. It means that when we're in a room and we're with other people, we have these abilities to be able to tune into particular things that other people can't see. And that's directly linked to our purpose and why we're here. And if we are not fully acknowledging that and embracing that ability, essentially we are doing Mother Nature an injustice. We're not aligned with what she's intended for us. And that just hurts. It hurts anyone. And especially as being, having this levels of sensory experience, it really hurts if we're in the wrong job or we're not honouring this part of ourselves. What a huge part of this is taking away the stigma of the seriousness that we have. A lot of us tend to have this.
Well, but that was part of our survival. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I think for me, feeling like I was so weird and different from other people, I didn't like being called sensitive when it had all this negativity thrown into it. So as a survival mechanism, you kind of like fit in and try to keep going along. So it was kind of an essential part of this process.
Yeah, that's so true, absolutely. Because we don't want to be found out, which is why a lot of us are perfectionists, and and we do take things so seriously, and we try to sort of create this bravado of strength and kind of seriousness, and actually the truth is in the opposite to that. It's the experience that we have as high sensory people is beautiful. We feel things so much more deeply. There's a great deal of play in us. We're so connected to the greater context. We love people. We love to play. And there's a huge amount of joy in that. And that's the real crux of the shift, or that's the kind of the pinnacle of the shift, should I say, is coming in that full circle back to the reverence of the beauty of who we are and the incredible gifts that we're here to bring, and the resulting joy of that.
I love that. And I love that the other piece of what you see this movement can do is it can ignite the leadership potential in many of the high sensory people who've been hiding, but who feel like this deep sense of this calling to step up and do more and be more. And now that the world is actually calling for more empathic leadership, you really see this movement as a way to reach the people who may have been kind of hiding, flying under the radar, but there may be gifts inside of you that could actually be put to use for the greater good of society, humanity, dare I say the planet.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, this is a huge part of it, absolutely. And, you know, and again, not to sort of freak us out and think, oh my God, I've got this big roles to play, but some of us are aching to take these roles on, you know. And it is helping us to understand and remember that some of the greatest leaders and change makers the world has ever seen are now known to have had the trait. Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Princess Diana, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Edison. The list is long. And what as Dr. Elaine Aron, who discovered the trait in the 90s, referred to us as being royal advisors. And in the animal kingdom, the trait shows up in 100 species of animals. And those animals have the ability to assess and tune into the environment to make sure that territory is safe, to make sure the right food sources are being found, and they communicate with the leaders of the pack. And they've discovered that when the animals are raised by a particularly skilled mother, they make fantastic leaders, really, really high-level leaders. And that's exactly the opportunity that we have to really start to recognize the fact that 15 to 20% of the population are designed for particular roles, and one of them being high-level empathic leadership. Because we're able to tune in and understand the needs, the weaknesses, the why in other people, whether that why is aligning to organizations, to governments, to whatever the higher vision is. And for us to acknowledge that these skills of empathy and intuition and visionary abilities that we have, when those are backed by a bigger vision with the ability to tune into the needs of others and how they can be rallied to a greater cause, we are here to make amazing shifts in the world.
Well, now that sounds inspiring. That sounds inspiring enough to get someone out of hiding, to fully embrace their gifts and to use it. But what sort of process would that look like? Like, if we've been used to hiding, or we've been used to kind of fitting in a box of corporate conformity, what sort of transition could we look at for ourselves? Or what did you do? Because you were also working in the financial world with properties, like you built up this portfolio. You were kind of doing somewhat in the box business, you know, helping other people as well, but now like you're in a completely different space. So what does that transition look like for someone who's just kind of waking up to this possibility?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it boils down to honesty, because at the end of the day, at everyone that I facilitate and take through this process, we all know in our hearts who we are and what we're supposed to be doing. And the more that we are, that there's obviously greater and lesser degrees of how out of touch with that we are, but the indicators are always there around how we are experiencing the world, what matters most to us, and the journey that we've been on in our history. They are the key indicators of what it means to start to take re-ownership of the truth of who we are and how we can start to engage with that outside of ourselves as well as inside of ourselves. So to simplify that a bit, my own experience, I always had in my mind and in my heart this experience of energy and flow, and I could feel the kind of movement of life in everything, and I could sense when people were in or out of alignment. I could sense when I needed to speak up. I could sense where the pennies needed to drop within people, even in the business world and the property world. I've spent much of my time facilitating my clients to enable them to be the best that they could be in their business. But yet I would, and as I was saying, I can remember me, being all sort of very formal in my suit, and sort of like talking to these high-level property developers. But actually, inside of myself, I was experiencing this incredible, joyful flow of love. And when people were out of alignment with that, then I could feel it, and I knew what to say. The words would come to me to say to help them align back into how they could be of the best service to their own clients. So my reality, or my cognitive perception, was always in this flow of love and joy, really. And my ability, the fact that I know that I'm able to say the right words to people, and I can enthuse people, and I can motivate people, is something that I have always held very close and dear to my heart. And then my own hero's journey, my experience of going from a place of rejection, following around through my own initiation, my own sort of inner transformation, and then coming back up to the gift that I was then to bring to the world, and my own sort of reclamation of my own joy again. those three things are the key, they are the indicators that each of us have to allow us to start to get really honest about what we're here to do, the joy that's in us, the calling that's in us. And it's about taking baby steps. It's about starting to tune in and learn and copy other people who are doing the kind of work that we want to work in. There's a field that we want to work in. There's an area of the world that is most important to us, and it's constantly calling and nagging. And the more time we can spend around other people that are doing the things that we want to do, including this honesty and tuning into this higher sensory intelligence that we have to bring to that particular field, all the pennies start to drop.
And now you're facilitating people, so for example, other healers and coaches who want to move out of their one-to-one work and do one-to-many work. You're facilitating them to create online courses and create a bigger presence in the world, right? And what's interesting is we've been talking a lot about the hero's journey. That seems to be the common thread between us, is really recognizing that we're all on this heroic journey. But you've actually incorporated the hero's journey into the work you're doing at Illuminance, which is your company that helps healers, light workers, coaches, all these luminaries to automate, and right?
Yeah.
And you've incorporated the hero's journey into this process,
right,
which I love, because that honesty that you're talking about and that ownership means we're not just coming to you and getting a course created and putting it out on the web. You're taking people through this process of owning their gifts, really seeing it, and then sharing it in a way that's really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, understanding our methodology is so important because we have a very unique process and gift to share with the world. And if we are only ever doing that in one-to-one, and of course one-to-one sessions are very important and we're really good at them, but if we are only ever limited to that, it means that we can't step up and spread the message far and wide to the many people that really need to hear what we have to say, if we're not able to broaden that reach through the internet, through being online. And the advantage of using the 6-pillar training that we have and understanding our own hero's journey is we get to see exactly what the methodology is and the magic that we create with the clients that we work with on a one-to-one basis, and how we can turn that into a training and a series of modules that allow the belief evolution from limiting to powerful that we're looking to create in our clients can actually be mapped out in modules, and therefore people anywhere in the world can get the benefit of our particular skill set, which is unique.
Right.
No one else has it, and it will never be heard to the extent that I would love all of the high sensory people in the world to be heard, if it's only ever within our own little practices. It's not for everyone, but if it resonates, then, as far as I'm concerned, it's got to be done.
Yeah, I love it. And you've also developed a quiz so people can actually find out if you are one of these high sensory intelligence people. You can take a quiz, just visit illuminance.com. But you're also hosting masterclasses where people can ask you questions and really dive deep into the understanding of your methodology, the high sensory intelligence movement, and also the work that you're doing, helping people get their work out to the world, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's all there on the website. Wonderful to have any of you guys on the masterclasses when you're looking to make this shift. If you have any inclination that the trait is resonating with you, then please do go ahead and run through the quiz. And then, as Andrea says, you can join us on the masterclass, which talks about this identity shift from sensitivity into high sensory intelligence. And then, of course, the methodology and the training that we have to bring your own ideas and processes and methodology into an online training, and all the technology that goes along with that. We love technology at Illuminance. So
he's a total tech geek over here.
I love it. Yeah.
Well, I love that you're creating so much free content so that people can actually really understand their own process. You're sharing very generously your story, not only in the book, The Top 10 Traits of Highly Resilient People, but also in your work online, in all the social media channels, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, all of that. So I just want to commend you for doing this good work in the world.
Thank you so much.
And helping these fellow light workers own the light, embrace the light, and now spread the light around the world.
Thank you so much. My pleasure to be here.
So there you have it, my friends. Get your copy of the book so that you can read Willow's entire story. I know you're going to be shocked by some of it. We haven't even scratched the surface of the ups and downs that he has been through in this lifetime. But he is truly embodying these traits of resilience, and I know that you can do the same. So check it out. Thank you. Ciao.
See you soon.